We want to go back to one of the most compelling locations from our first round of investigations, Miller Ranch.
Yeah, there's clearly something going on there.
What we're seeing is impossible.
This is a ranch where not only we have a really interesting physical location, but we've got a great human story.
Anytime that hum sound would come, you know something's gonna happen. Like,
Oh, really?
so everybody's
so when
on
the
edge.
hum would happen, other things would happen.
The team returned to Miller Ranch in southern Colorado, spurred by the intriguing discoveries from their first visit. Pete, an experienced investigator, brought a high-tech drone equipped with LiDAR technology, ready to uncover hidden details. They focused on a mysterious bridge, rumored to conceal a dimensional portal. As they mapped the area, the question arose: could this bridge actually be a gateway to another reality? Join us to find out what lies beyond. A high-tech return to Miller Ranch. Pete had previously used this technology at another location, Skinwalker Ranch, where it had successfully documented unusual features. This time, the focus was on the bridge at Miller Ranch, which was thought to be similar to the mysterious triangular zone at Skinwalker Ranch. Here they had recorded strange magnetic and radio frequency signals, and even spotted unidentified flying objects, UFOs, hovering above. The plan was to use a special drone that could take thousands of high-definition images while flying over the bridge. These images would be stitched together to form a detailed 3D model of the area. Such detailed imagery could reveal features invisible to the human eye, providing deeper insights into the strange occurrences observed. As Pete prepared the drone, the rest of the team set up additional equipment to monitor any effects the drone's flight might have on the environment. A spectrum analyzer was crucial for this part, especially focused on the 1.6 gigahertz range, where previous investigations had noted significant anomalies. Initially, the environment was stable, showing only the usual background noise one would expect in such a remote area. But the real test was about to begin. The anticipation grew as the drone took off, following a carefully planned route that would ensure it passed directly over the bridge. The team closely monitored the spectrum analyzer for any fluctuations that could be linked to the drone's path, especially any unexpected spikes in frequency indicating abnormal phenomena. Just moments into the flight, the drone approached the bridge, and the atmosphere among the team grew tense. The analyzer remained calm until suddenly, a spike appeared as the drone hovered over the bridge. This spike was unusual, standing out amidst the baseline data and suggesting something odd about this section of the ranch. With each pass over the bridge, the drone seemed to provoke another spike, aligning perfectly with its position. This pattern was too consistent to be a coincidence, pointing to a significant, though unseen influence exerted by the bridge itself, or perhaps something beneath it. As the drone finished its final pass and the data was compiled, the team had a wealth of images and measurements to analyze. The initial review of the photogrammetry data showed odd structures and formations not evident during their earlier investigations, ghostly shapes that seemed to float above the bridge, defying simple explanations. But this wasn't the worst part. The new evidence suggested that Miller Ranch was more than just a place of natural beauty. It held clues to phenomena that challenged current understanding. The unexpected findings from the drone's flight added layers to their ongoing investigation, promising to shed light on the unexplained occurrences that had drawn them to this mysterious ranch in the first place. As the team began analyzing the data, they realized the significance of their discoveries. The strange shapes and signals suggested that there was something more to this place. They needed to dig deeper and find out what was really going on at Miller Ranch. The drone's images provided a new perspective, revealing details that had been hidden during their previous visits. The team discussed their next steps, realizing that further investigation was necessary. They needed to understand the source of the anomalies and what they meant. Were they dealing with natural phenomena, or was there something else at play? The questions were many and the answers were few, but they were determined to find out. But this wasn't the end of their surprises. As they continued to review the data, they found even more anomalies that hadn't been apparent at first glance. These findings suggested that Miller Ranch was a hotspot for unusual activity, making it an even more intriguing subject for further research. The team's excitement grew as they planned their next visit to Miller Ranch. They needed to gather more data and possibly bring in additional equipment to better understand the phenomena they had observed. As the drone hovered over the old bridge, a sudden spike in energy readings caught the team's attention. At precisely 1.695 gigahertz, the instruments lit up, signaling an anomaly that had occurred repeatedly. As the drone smoothly glided over the bridge's central part, it seemed like an unwilling witness to something unseen and unexplained. One observer watched the screen closely, tracing the drone's path as it flew over the bridge with precision. The energy spikes appeared regularly, each marked by a brief but significant flicker on the instruments. The question of what this could mean hung in the air, filled with curiosity and a bit of concern. As the drone continued its flight, each pass brought new data, making the anomaly even more intriguing. The bridge, now the focus of the investigation, seemed to be communicating through these mysterious spikes. A pattern was emerging from what should have been a routine surveillance mission. When the flight ended, the team gathered around the monitor to examine the photogrammetry data. These digital images, captured from above, were supposed to provide a clear 3D view of the bridge. Instead, they revealed something unexpected. "There's something underground," one technician said, puzzled by the readings on the screen. Photogrammetry, designed to capture images from the visible spectrum, had somehow registered data points from beneath the bridge. The implications were baffling, and the team struggled to find a logical explanation. Two different sensors, LiDAR and the RGB camera, used in photogrammetry, both detected the same underground anomaly. This defied logic, given the capabilities and limits of the technology. "It's not possible," was a common refrain, yet the data suggested otherwise. As discussions continued, the group recalled similar unexplained phenomena recorded in other locations, like Skinwalker Ranch, where the same equipment had captured data that shouldn't have been there. The anomaly at the bridge seemed part of a larger pattern, a puzzle slowly coming together from pieces scattered across different times and places. But this wasn't the worst part. The coincidence of these anomalies with past accidents near the bridge added a somber note to the findings. Some began to speculate about a connection between the technological anomalies and the historical incidents, a line of inquiry that seemed daunting but necessary. Realizing that something extraordinary might be happening at this spot prompted the team to think deeply about the phenomena they were observing. The anomalies might not just be data glitches or measurement errors, they could be signs of a deeper disturbance in time and space. As the team prepared for a more detailed analysis, the bridge's significance as a potential center for unexplained phenomena became clear. Could it be an entry point for something beyond our understanding? The data suggested as much, and as the team planned their next steps, anticipation and a bit of fear filled the air. In scientific exploration, every answer reveals new questions, and every solved mystery uncovers deeper ones. The bridge, with its recurrent data spikes and underground anomalies, now stood as a beacon calling for thorough investigation. It promised insights that could challenge our understanding of the world. As the drone landed and the screens flickered off, the bridge remained, silent and inscrutable, waiting for the team to uncover its secrets. But there was more to consider. The team couldn't ignore the possibility that they were on the brink of discovering something truly groundbreaking. The anomalies might be part of a larger, interconnected phenomenon spanning different locations and times. The implications of this were huge. If these anomalies were connected, they could reveal new aspects of our reality. The team, now more determined than ever, decided to expand their research to include other sites with similar occurrences. This wasn't just about the bridge anymore. It was about understanding a potential new layer of reality, one that could change our fundamental grasp of the universe. The journey ahead was uncertain, filled with challenges and unknowns. But the potential discoveries made it all worthwhile. As they wrapped up for the day, the team knew their work had only just begun. The bridge with its silent mysteries had opened a door to possibilities they hadn't imagined. They were ready to step through, driven by curiosity and the promise of new knowledge. After uncovering strange data, the team moves to Fayetteville to investigate Chris's mysterious experiences. The persistent mysteries of Fayetteville. In Fayetteville, something unusual was happening. Chris, a private person not known for seeking attention, found himself in the middle of a strange event. Since 2007, Chris had been living a quiet life, dealing with experiences that were hard to explain. These weren't just brief moments, but ongoing events that changed his and his family's lives in a big way. Chris talked about seeing orbs, large balls of light, each about 40 feet wide. These weren't just tricks of light or illusions, but clear moving entities that appeared vividly. The river near his home was the site of one of these amazing sightings back in 2007. Since then, his life had been turned upside down. At first, these experiences caused trouble, making his community shun him. His children were teased at school and church, making everyday life difficult. But these problems brought the family closer, strengthening their bond despite widespread disbelief. Scientists started paying attention to Chris, with researchers from top agencies like NASA and the FBI looking into his claims. This was a shift from studying known paranormal spots to focusing on an individual. Chris's situation was special because he managed to attract serious scientific interest due to the credibility and consistency of his experiences. On one particular day, a team with an electroencephalogram (EEG) device set out to monitor Chris's brain activity in real time. The EEG, a cap with sensors, was designed to detect electrical signals in the brain, showing which areas were active during his encounters with the orbs. This technology had advanced from older, messier methods to a more efficient setup with dry sensors that could record high-resolution activity. As the team started the monitoring, Chris sat calmly, only instructed to do his thing and signal any significant moments with a hand gesture. This setup allowed the researchers to observe his brain's natural state without any stress or forced interaction. During the monitoring, Chris's brain patterns showed remarkable calmness. Even as he engaged with these mysterious orbs, his brain activity stayed stable, with the frontal lobes showing minimal action, suggesting a state of deep peace rather than confusion or fear. This was interesting because the frontal lobes are usually linked to higher thinking and emotional processing. The EEG readings provided a glimpse into Chris's mind, showing a deep, almost meditative engagement with his experiences. But this wasn't the most surprising part. The session showed that even as Chris interacted with these phenomena, certain areas of his brain lit up, especially those related to visual processing and emotional engagement. This indicated not just a passive observation, but an active, emotional connection to the events. The scientists noticed that when Chris made requests to the phenomena, his brain activity would paradoxically calm, suggesting a level of control or influence that was hard to understand. As the study continued, every slight change in Chris's brain activity was mapped and analyzed. At one point, intense activity spiked in his brain as he pointed out an orb in the tree line, linking his physical actions with his brain responses. This intense effort matched with increased brain activity, providing clear evidence of the deep interaction between Chris and the orbs. Through this detailed observation, it became clear that Chris was not just a bystander in these events, but an active participant. His brain's responses gave clues to a complex, responsive relationship between him and the phenomena, challenging what we traditionally understand about human interaction with unexplained forces. But this was just the beginning. The day unfolded with a series of discoveries about human perception and the potential for extraordinary experiences that bridge the known and the unknown. Chris's long-standing interaction with these mysterious orbs, documented under strict scientific conditions, offered a rare glimpse into a world that remains just out of reach of conventional understanding, yet very real to those who experience it. Encouraged by findings in Fayetteville, the team now follows a book's clue to explore Rocky Mountain Ranch, the Rocky Enigma. The team found a strong lead in the book, The Hunt for the Skinwalker, by Kelleher and George Knapp. The book mentioned another ranch in Colorado with strange events. It called this place the Rocky Mountain Ranch and talked about a family that experienced odd things over the years, without revealing their real names or location. The team contacted MUFON in Colorado, run by Katie Page. It turned out that Katie was closely connected to this ranch. She was part of the family that lived there and had experienced these strange events herself. Katie had her first strange encounter at 9 years old while living on the ranch. Katie shared an old report from the Aerial Phenomenon Research Organization, which came before MUFON. This report from the late 70s detailed many strange events at the ranch, similar to those at Skinwalker Ranch. It seemed this report had been mostly forgotten until the team talked with Katie, who helped bring it back into the spotlight. Now Katie had decided to return to the ranch with the team. This was her first visit back since she was about 10 years old. It was her chance to face the past where she and her siblings had experienced strange happenings. Her connection to the ranch started in the mid-70s when her mother met a man at work who owned the ranch. From ages 9 to 12, Katie spent a lot of time there. Each visit seemed to bring strange experiences. Her clearest memory was of a heavy, creepy feeling of being watched. One particularly scary night, while the adults were busy with board games, the children were in the boys' bedroom. Suddenly, a humming noise filled the air, leading to the unsettling events that followed. The lights went out, and a bright light shone through the window. Then a robotic voice announced that they had let the family live their lives with minimal interference and that their friends must remain silent about their existence. But this wasn't the worst part. That night left a deep mark on Katie, and she felt a connection that still lingered. Now, decades later, they were back at the ranch, ready to start their tour. Katie's bravery was remarkable as she prepared to revisit her childhood experiences. Despite her courage, the fear she felt as a 10-year-old was still visible. Katie shared more about her personal experiences at the ranch. She remembered the sounds of hums and bangs that seemed to come from underground. In a strange twist earlier that day, just before their visit, a loud hum was heard, a sound the current owners, who had been there for 30 years, had never experienced before. They were on their way to the original cistern where this occurred, and Katie was about to show them the exact spot. The team thought some kind of phenomenon at Rocky Mountain Ranch might be trying to talk to them. To help with this, Andy and Paul brought in Jairus Dover Spike, an engineer and ham radio expert. Jairus set up a transmitter to work at the 1.6 gigahertz frequency, which had been linked to strange events at another place called Skinwalker Ranch. He said that using a licensed ham radio, they could legally send a human voice into space and maybe create echoes through harmonic frequencies. The importance of this frequency came from an event in 1976 when Katie and her family heard a mysterious broadcast through a stereo that was turned off. The team wanted to recreate this event and capture any signals with advanced equipment. They set up old AM radios around the house, tuned to static channels, to catch any strange sounds. Next to these radios, they put a sensitive microphone to capture and show any responses that might come after their broadcasts. Jairus showed how they would monitor the signals from the microphone. If they saw big changes in the signal, it would mean something unusual was being sent through the AM channels. They set up the equipment and waited with excitement. The team split up to cover more ground. Katie stayed with Jairus and Andy to watch the equipment inside, while Paul and Nicole went outside to scan the skies for any other signs. They used walkie-talkies to stay in touch and share any findings right away. Jairus started the transmission, boosting the signal to 1.6 gigahertz. Paul coordinated with him from outside to keep everything in sync. Feeling a mix of nostalgia and courage, Katie decided to send a personal message, hoping any presence might remember her and her family. "Do you remember me? My sister and the boys. We're back, and we'd like to talk to you." But this wasn't the most surprising part. Almost right away, the equipment reacted. It seemed like the house itself was responding to Katie's voice. The screens showed wild energy fluctuations, a clear response to her call. The team was amazed as they watched the energy levels jump around. It was an incredible moment. The house, or whatever was inside it, was definitely reacting to Katie's voice. It felt like she was talking to something in the house, something invisible but responsive. Even with all his knowledge, Jairus couldn't explain what they were seeing, showing just how extraordinary Rocky Mountain Ranch really was. Could Rocky Mountain Ranch be communicating with another realm? Comment with your thoughts and subscribe for more mysterious explorations.